Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Nora.
Hi, how are you, Donna?
I'm good. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I love your show, and I love your blog. It's just so much fun, and I really enjoy reading that every week.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. I always feel like it's just my silly little obsession, my ramblings about Ben and the cars
Yeah,
and
but you know what? It's a sharing thing because those of us that read it, we're all kind of in the same ballpark, So it's so nice to be able to share our feelings. It's so great. I really appreciate it. There's not a lot of outlets for that, especially at my age.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny. When I started it, I was really just kind of thinking of myself and, needing to write. And then as people started reading it and telling me that it, mirrored their feelings or, was like, you're writing exactly what I think,
Yeah. Oh,
that it's
yeah.
like, oh, this does connect people.
Yeah, it really does. And Hugh's so special. It just
Yeah.
is. He just has this incredible energy. I mean, it sounds weird, but it's a spiritual and it's just this energy that he had and still continues to have, and this impact he has on people's lives. I think it's a nice way to. This is a nice way to start, just kind of exploring what effect he did have on people's lives and what he does have on people's lives.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you emailed us with the idea because it really just sparked that in me like, gosh, that is really something I want to do. So thank you for suggesting it. I'm so excited to talk to you today about your fandom.
Well, I'm excited too. I'd love to have the opportunity to share.
Yay. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, my name is Norah Wylie, and I'm currently living in Oregon. I moved here from LA, lived in LA for about 38 years or so, and so my connection with rock music goes way back. I actually was a little bit involved in the music world because my daughter's dad was a musician,
Okay.
uh, and in '84 he was actively writing songs, and trying to get produced. And he was going through the whole rat race that you go through in LA.
Okay.
Our connection, his connection with me was kind of a tentative one. We kind of fell into a relationship, and that year I had my daughter Megan, who is one of the lights of my life. She's a very special kid. But anyway, it was a very tough year in '84, and that was right when Drive came out. And I remember right from the very beginning, I thought, oh, this song is just such an amazing song, and it was just it just was such a calming force in my life because it was, I was kind of involved in the music world, but it was a very uncomfortable connection. Anyway, Megan's dad died right after she was born. She was born in August, and he passed about 5 weeks later, and it was a very disconcerting time for me. And
Oh
it
my
was
goodness.
yeah, it was a very hard time. I'd had a difficult pregnancy. It was a hard, I wasn't the youngest, and it was a difficult time. And then when he passed, we had not been doing well, so I was kind of racked with this guilt. I felt like, well, my world is coming to an end, but there was also this guilt because we hadn't been the best partners. And I was having a really hard time with that, and it was he died under very strange circumstances, which I'm not even going to go into. But anyway,
Okay.
I was kind of I not only was this a difficult time, but it was also I had no money. I was very broke. My family was not very happy with me because of my bad relationship, or whatever they wanted to call it. So it was a very very difficult time. But for some reason, I was listening, and I know I was having one day in particular. I could just remember it was just awful, and my sister was having her tough time too. So she was always the one I went to when I was younger, but she was having a tough time. So she was in such a bad place herself. It wasn't. I couldn't really. There was nobody to turn to. In other words, really no one to turn to. But the song just, for some reason, I'd heard it before, but it connected with me on a different level, because what it did is the words of that song are not exactly comforting, but what it was is that someone out there related to my experience. You know, I felt alone, and I felt like people's usual response is, "You'll get over it. Oh, it's just you're having a tough time. It's gonna be over soon. Right. Or you'll find a way to handle this." But that's not kind of what you want to hear when you're in a really dark place. What you want to hear is somebody really understands what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody really explains those feelings in a way that resonate with me.
Right.
And so that's basically what the song did. And this was before I had even seen a photo of Ben, or I had no idea. I had no idea what it was. Just the voice, the music, the beautiful lyrics, and just the persona, just shining through, you know. Mm-hmm. And then later on, I got through that horrible year. And then in '85, they did Live Aid. Mm-hmm. And that was when I really connected, because I didn't, MTV, I didn't really have time. It was just, I just didn't ever watch very much. But the next year, and I finally saw that gorgeous face, and I just thought, oh my goodness. Not only is this person just this wonderful voice and this marvelous song that was just amazing, but then there's this angel.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, that's basically what started my connection, and so there we are.
Wow.
Years later, here we are. I was in my early 30s, and here we are. In my 60s. Same feeling.
Yes, still feeling connected, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it's interesting because that song, like you said, so that first wrapping around you of Ben is just that idea that this voice is putting into words all these feelings and emotions that you were living at the time.
Yes, exactly. I felt alone. I felt like there was nobody there when I was ready to give up and scream and yell, and it was just finding a voice for those feelings.
Right.
That you can't put into words yourself.
And then you see that face, and it's already, because of the connection to his voice and the lyrics, you already have this trusted connection with him. And then to be able to now see him.
An old friend, if you feel like this is somebody that I've met before.
And that he totally gets you, like you just feel like this person understands me based on what they're singing and the way they're singing it, and this beautiful face, as if like you said, as if an old friend, someone that you
you feel familiar. It feels like you've known this person all your life. And then there's that quality that he has, that I really have, I can look at somebody as a very handsome rock star, and I can say, oh, that person is really exceptionally good looking and wonderful and charismatic and sexy. But this was a little different. This is a different type of a connection, which is really, really helped. I can't tell you what it meant to me at the time, and still does.
And so did you kind of, have you stayed a Cars fan all that time then, or did it kind of go underground for a bit and then resurface?
It kind of went underground, but every time I heard the song, I'd go right back to that feeling, right back to that year, right back to that state of mind. It's really interesting how it just takes you back to that, and I'm just so happy that my life is in a better place now, and I've worked through a lot of it. But that time was just so dark. It was fate for me, but I didn't really stay. Recently, what I did this year is I started looking up the footage again of Live Aid, because I feel like we really need that in our country right now. I wish that we could do another another concert like that because I think it's timely.
Yes.
But and I pull up that footage of him all the time, and it really still speaks to me.
Yeah.
He was so happy, and they were doing such a great thing at the time. They were helping. They were helping with the crisis in Africa, but it was wonderful, humane thing to do, and fit right in with Ben and with his personality. And I know that later on he said that was one of the most meaningful experiences for him, and that was what the Cars enjoyed. That was one of the highlights of their career, was that experience at Live Aid.
Yes.
Anyway, I still have that connection, though. That connection has never died, and I don't think it ever will. I just
Yeah.
feel like I have a guardian angel up there.
Aw, yes. Have you ever shared that story with Megan or shared this song with her at all?
No, it's just been very personal for me. So this is why it's such a great opportunity for me to actually share it with you and with the fans. Now she's in her 30s, so she's the same age, a little younger than I was when I went through it. So yeah, this is a good time for her. Maybe I'll share this with her.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking it's a neat part of her history that she doesn't. I mean, it's your history, but she was a baby at that time, and just being able to relate to what you were going through as a new mom and having lost her father, and just as an adult now, she can probably relate more with those
definitely.
feelings and with you.
Yeah, absolutely, and because that was such a hard year for both of us. Not just me. Of course, it was a tough year for her too. She was picking up on all my sad vibes.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Those little babes.
Right, and you have a daughter too, so I'm sure that you remember your first year and
yeah.
Yeah, and they pick up on everything.
Yes, they do.
Even in the womb, they pick up on stuff, and
I believe they do, yeah. And yes, and then you're a first-time mom, so that in itself is a huge new world to navigate. And then with the additional emotional challenges and the hard pregnancy and those things, this is a lot to bear. It's really a lot to carry.
Yeah, it was not easy. It was not an easy year. For either one of us. So yeah, I think I will share this with her.
Yeah, because how special for that Ben connection during that time,
Yeah, and with him more than the others, even though I love the group and I love what they've done. I think Rick was incredibly talented. His music is just amazing, and I'm so glad they finally got recognition. But Ben was the soul of the group. He was the heart and the soul of the group, and I really don't think they would have had the same impact without him. And I think they all realize that.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it's interesting. You isolate each member of the band, and each man brought such a unique, necessary piece to the whole puzzle, that of course, we can really say that, well, without Greg, they wouldn't have made it, and without Elliot, they wouldn't have made it. And all of that is very true. But each one did add their specific personality and their specific talent and charisma in such a way that spun the band a certain direction. And Ben definitely covers so much of that with just his vocals and his beautiful presence.
Yeah, and just even in the background, even when it just they were this eclectic, smart, wonderful group of guys that just made it work, and so different from anything that was out at the time.
Yeah.
But I love them. I love that last interview that they did. It's so nice watching how they've developed. And I think, people have asked why they didn't go to, a couple of them didn't go to his funeral. I think it was just too hard. I think it was just too hard for them. I think that they just couldn't. So I don't even think that they were too busy. I just think that, they just couldn't handle it. It was just too much. But anyway, that's speculation. I don't know. I mean, I just know that I can imagine it. I can just imagine how tough that must have been after, especially for Rick after those many years had passed.
Yeah. And in the final analysis, I mean, none of them have badmouthed each other. None of them have, they've always presented, even when they were split up, there was no public animosity, really. They've always presented a united front and have said,
That's right.
we
That's
love each
right.
other, and we did those years together, and they were amazing. And, I love that solidarity.
There's been absolutely no backbiting, no nothing. And I respect that so much.
I do too. It speaks a lot for the depth of their relationships.
Yep.
The respect that they must have for each other to have the control to keep it all behind closed doors where it should be.
Yeah, and also the ladies in his life. Judith is lovely. I listened to that, and that was so much fun. That was just she sounds like just a lovely person.
She's amazing.
But they were only together for maybe 3 years, but she just has the best stuff to say about him. I just love the stuff about grocery shopping. I mean, how many guys like to go grocery shopping? I thought, boy, he must have been really patient.
That's right. Oh, so hilarious. The polka story is my favorite. And the way she told it was so funny, of him, whipping her around the floor, and
oh yeah,
everybody's happy when they're dancing the polka.
Yeah. Isn't that great? Yeah,
hilarious,
just marvelous. And then you have to put it together with him, being a hunter, hunting and fishing and all that stuff, and then this other quiet side of him, this the part of him that really needed and wanted to keep to himself.
Right.
The social side of him that was giving and open and warm and generous. And I mean, he put a lot of living into those few years.
Yeah.
I think now 53 is very young.
Yes.
Boy, he spread himself out there. He gave the best of himself.
Yeah.
In every possible way, and he lived life to the fullest.
He sure seemed to, didn't he? Yeah. It's
and even in those dark years, even in those hard years after the cars, and his breakups, I thought that was he handled that like a gentleman, I thought.
Yeah. It's such a privilege to get to hear those stories, from Judith, and I've talked to Diane a little bit, and even with Rick passing, and then Paulina, a few weeks later, doing an interview and letting us in to some of the private moments. What a privilege it is when they share, with the fans.
And they share in such a gracious manner.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's such a gracious manner, so that the memories are the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, I know when you get out of a relationship, you tend to dwell on what didn't work. But it seems like the ladies in his life dwelled on what did work with him and made him so special, and what has continued to make him so special.
Yeah.
Because we see that, you obviously see it, and I feel it and see it as well. And when you have those great memories of someone, especially when you have some kind of when you have a relationship with them, it's unique, and it's rare in the world that we live in today, where we tend to, if anything goes wrong, we tend to badmouth the other person. But
right,
they must be terrific ladies. They must be terrific people.
Yeah, which goes in line with what we want to believe about Ben anyway, is that he was so special that surely he would choose women that were deserving of him,
Yes.
I feel like that's the case, that he was particular about who he opened up with, and he, at least in hindsight, from our little perspective, he seemed to have chosen wisely.
Yes, absolutely. They all seem like just lovely people.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wish I'd be one of them.
Well, there's that. Yes. There's no denying that.
No denying that. Oh, goodness.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your experience with me. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Is there anything else you want to add, or anything
No,
else you can think of?
I think that's it. I feel so good about this, and I'm going to go listen to Drive right now.
Perfect. Oh, well, thank you so much, Norah. It's so great to chat with you and get to meet you.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for sharing all this with us. We all appreciate it so much. It's something to look forward to every week.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.